What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So the new Season 4 update is now live, bringing us the Lowriders and the Donks here at Motorfest. Now, of course, on top of that, we also got some of the new summits being added into the game. I would say some of them are looking kind of cool, but also we're basically getting mainly the actual, underglows, and also a few nitros, and of course the trail smokes on top of it. So I wouldn't say they're like terrible rewards, but they also probably could be a tad better at least. I have to admit that anyway. Also, is anybody else having issues with crashing or something, or is it just me on PS5? I don't really know what's going on there, but here's the first underglow you guys will get from this week's summit. Is obviously the platinum reward, and then in gold we have the Plymouth Roadrunner, which is an awesome car, at least for cruising anyway. But I would say that underglow is going to almost look like shoes, which I think that might have been the goal of it, or the insoles you put in shoes. And then moving over to the next one, we have the Sunset Trail Smoke, which is looking kind of odd. I would say on certain vehicles it might look dope, or maybe it might be a bit weird to look at when going kind of quick. After that, though, guys, we have the American Drift Smoke, which this one actually looks kind of dope. I mean, I really do like the fact that you can't see like the other colors there, like blue, and I think that's red or pinkish. And then you obviously see like the stars, so I do like that one. That is pretty dope. Looking forward to actually getting that one unlocked. But besides that, though, we also have the Biker's Custom here, which is kind of interesting. We also have a Nitro, which that Nitro looks honestly pretty boring. I mean, I have to admit it probably could be a tad better. Not really liking that one that much. Then we also have a car in the American Custom Showreel Summit. Not sure what class it's in. I'm going to guess and say maybe a Tier 2 upgraded from a Tier 1 because, normally most of the muscle cars are actually like a Tier 1. So who knows, maybe that's going to be a Tier 2. I highly doubt that's a Demolition Derby. That would probably make no sense. Is it a Lowrider? I would probably say no, that's definitely not looking like a Lowrider, but I do like the body kit on that thing. It's looking pretty dang dope. Besides that, though, let's go jump into the Lowrider Custom Summit and see how this one's going to play out here. So then moving over to the summit here, though, we are going to have a summit primarily based on the Lowriders, which I would say is not that shocking considering it's called the Lowrider Custom. And then we're also going to have two escapes and finally a slalom, which I would say the skills are probably going to be pretty decently fun. I mean, we obviously have two escapes, which of course means RNG is going to play a role, which I would say is going to make the escapes not that entertaining. I mean, as a lot of people did say, I would recommend just taking the traffic off of them, but I really don't see them actually doing that, unfortunately. But for the first escape here, though, guys, you actually start in this one in the water. Simply head toward the objective on this one, though, and the second you actually get near the land right after the objective, jump into a hypercar of your choice, which I would probably say is going to be a Bugatti or a Koenigsegg, but for me, guys, I did want to use the lovely Lamborghini Countach. This thing is great. It might not be the best hypercar out there, but I would say it's by far not the worst either. Like, it's pretty good. After you guys jump onto the road, though, basically follow that and watch out for traffic, by the way. There's going to be a few cuts here and there in order to stay, on the main road itself. That way you can't get away from the actual objective there. But keep in mind, guys, again, though, you don't have to have like 15,000 yards on this one. I have around 7,000 yards, and that's 157,000 points, which is, of course, going to be maxed out. The other escape, though, is also going to be fairly similar. This one, though, you actually can drive off the mountain if you want to, go toward the highway, and then, of course, jump onto another road, jump over a mountain. It might honestly sound insane, but guess what? It's actually going to be fairly accurate. Not a big fan of the escapes, man, like I can't lie on that one. The final one is going to be a slalom, though. Luckily, this one is fairly simple. I actually used a monster truck and got around 16,000 points. Keep in mind, once again, though, the maxed out score on all of these skills, at least when it comes to a slalom, is 129,000 points, or at least around that. So the people that are getting the highest score, guys, are running legit supercars, or I guess you could say like a Lamborghini hypercar, even a street tiered vehicle. And I'm around the exact same score as them, running a monster truck with a score breaker. So I guess it really is going to come down to preference for the most part on the slaloms. Now, when it does come to the events here, there's going to be around 4 races in it. The other 2 are going to be the new type of point system with a low rider from the new playlist. I'm not going to lie here, I'm not a fan of them. You're basically following like an arrow thing that you have to use with like your analog stick and get the exact same thing, basically copying it. It is going to be extremely similar to Guitar Hero, which I don't know why they actually have that in a racing game, but hey, I guess it's something new to do if people like it, which I would probably guess they will not. For example, the Roadrunner low riding one here did not do that great on this one, guys. I actually did not like it that much. I could go back in and get a better score, but I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling it, man. It's just not that fun to do, to be real. Also, a big tip, if you guys are having an issue getting a higher score, make sure you change around your event difficulty. That is actually going to make it extremely slow on like level 1, compared to level 5 being extremely fast, which is kind of weird to follow it. And then you're also going to have to chain them to get a higher score in that aspect. If you actually break the chain, then you'll get less of a score and so on. So make sure you guys are trying to get at least good or perfect for the highest score, even though I'm going to guess and say most players are not going to like the low riding events. Besides that, though, the 4 events in this are actually going to be fairly fun compared to those. For this one, you actually get to use a Chevrolet. I did use the Z28. Is anyone else going to use the Z28? Probably not. I mean, the Camaro RS is probably a better vehicle for this one, but I was like, you know what, man, let's run some weird vehicles and see how they do. Turns out the Z28 is honestly not that terrible. Besides that, though, we also have the Impala Lowrider here, which is going to be the car from the crew too. It's not a terrible vehicle, but it is a bit wonky to use in a race because it's a lowrider. So last time I checked, a lot of people are probably not racing these in actual events. But hey, with a few adjustments, it's not going to be a terrible vehicle. By far not going to be the most fun thing to race either. After that, though, guys, we have the New Mexico Journey, which is going to be a classic. For this, you obviously will probably have to use the Plymouth Roadrunner again. Not going to lie, though, the La Verde, I think that's how you say that, is actually going to be a fairly decent car. This is also going to be primarily highway-based. So do keep in mind on this one, having nitrous at like pure and frenetic or even pure and extra pump is definitely going to be incredibly good on this event. The last one, though, we're going to have a Street Tier 1 Classic here. For this, guys, I actually use the Audi RS2 Avant. Not going to lie, the Audi RS2 Avant and the 911 Carrera RS 2.7 are probably going to be some of the best Tier 1 vehicles in the entire game, and like not even kidding. The RS2 Avant is going to handle very well. It's also quick, and it's actually going to be pretty dang fun to race for being a Tier 1. Can't even lie on that one. Besides all that, though, guys, that is going to do it for the Lowrider Custom Summit. I would say players are going to like this one, but I have to be honest. These two new point lowriding events are probably going to be pretty frustrating for many people.